Okay, and now to finish out our installation of the LAMP stack, we have gone ahead and we've installed Linux, we've installed the Apache web server, we've installed MySQL, and then last step is to install and configure PHP and validate that it's working in our environment. So back to our Ubuntu machine here, I had just finished installing and confirming MySQL on our system. So now it's just a matter of installing PHP. Well, at this point, you're probably getting used to this. In order to install software, we need to first act as the super user. And we need to install something, install a package. So it's apt install. By the way, in case you are curious, there is also an apt remove if you want to remove the software. Okay, so apt install, and you may be thinking, okay, we just need to install PHP. Turns out there's actually 3 applications we want to install. We want to install PHP, the PHP programming language. But we also want to install a component that will work with Apache and a component of PHP that will work with MySQL. So in that case, what we need to do is we need a program called libapache2-mod-php. This is just an Apache module that works with PHP, as well as php-mysql. So again, PHP is the PHP program itself. libapache2 mod-php is the module for Apache that works with PHP, and then php-mysql is the module that allows PHP to work with MySQL. So go ahead and hit enter. It rebuilds the packages, says, hey, here's some additional things such as PHP common, PHP's CLI, and so on that will be installed. That's great. We'll go ahead and hit enter just to say okay. And there we go. We have PHP installed. At this point, because we've made a change to Apache, we need to restart Apache. So previously we started Apache, and in order to do that, we did a sudo systemctl or system control start Apache 2. However, in this case, Apache is already running, so we don't want to do a start. We want to do a restart. Restart basically is a combination of a stop and a start. So by restarting, we are literally just turning off and turning it back on. Apache allows it to reload its configurations and realize that it has the new Apache or the new PHP modules. All right. Oh, one more thing. Because this is PHP, because we want PHP to be our default website, what we want to do is we want to edit a default configuration file for Apache. Because we're changing a configuration file, we have to run as super user. So we're going to run sudo, and the favorite editor for Ubuntu is called Nano. It's a really small editor that is actually fairly user-friendly for what everything does. The file we want to edit is in etc apache2/mods enabled, and it's called dir.conf. So we go ahead, we edit this, and basically what we have here is we have in the directory index. What will happen is if there's no file name specifically listed in the URL. So for instance, when we're looking here, it's just localhost. There's no file name, and there's no pictures of mom.html or anything after the localhost, or home.html or anything like that. Because there's no other item there, what happens is it actually starts looking at this list and it looks for index.html, index.cgi. I'm sorry, index.html. If index.html is not there, then it starts looking for index.cgi. If it's not there, then index.pl, and then PHP, XHTML, and so on. What we want to do is we want to take this index.php and we want to remove it from where it's at right now, and we want to paste it right here. So the index.php is the very first file that it looks for and then continues on if nothing else is available. In order to do this, we have to use the arrow keys on our keyboard. And you see my flashing cursor there. Basically use the left, right, up, down arrow keys. And I'm going to come over here to where it says index.php, and I'm just going to hit backspace on my keyboard and erase that. And then I'm going to come back here to the beginning in front of index.html and type index.php. And there we have it. Therefore, whenever it browses to a website, it will look for the index.php first, and only if it doesn't exist, it will show index.html. Okay, in order to exit out of here, down here at the bottom, we see that there it says exit, and it has this funky caret with an X on it. The caret means control on your keyboard. So Control X will exit the file, exit the program. And it says, hey, you made some changes. Do you want to save these changes? Hitting anything but Y means no. So I hit Y. It then says, what file do you want to save this to? I actually want to save it just to that same file. So I'm going to hit enter in order to overwrite what's already there. And there we go. Because we just made a configuration file change, I'm going to hit up arrow on my keyboard. You can go back to that system control restart and hit enter just to restart Apache time. Okay, so we've gone ahead, we've made our configuration changes, and now let's make a PHP web page that we can access. Now, if we recall, this guy right here says that this file is located in var www.html/index.html. What I want to do is in this same directory right here, in var www.html, I want to create a PHP file, a very simple PHP file, just something that tells me PHP is working. And so that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the nano editor that we just used. I'm going to edit in var www.html, and I'm going to create a file called info.php. When we're done creating that, we'll come back here to the web browser and go ahead and see if we can find it. So again, I'm gonna sudo nano, and we said that was in var www.html, and I want info.php. So this is going to create a new file when I hit enter. There we go. It says right down here at the bottom, in fact, it says, hey, this is a new file. And that's great. I want it to be a new file. So I can go ahead and I can start typing in at any time. So I'm going to type in some PHP code. First off, this less than symbol, question mark, PHP, that means I'm starting a block of PHP code. That tells the web server, look at this, look at everything after this as if it's a program, and then run it as if it's a program, or specifically as a script. So that's what says the following information is a script. Go ahead and run it. The command I want it to run is called php info with open parentheses, end parentheses, and semicolon. hit enter, and then question mark greater than means close out, stop, or stop the scripted portion. So this line says you're going to run some code after this. This line says this is the end of the code, and then this right here is the code that I want it to run. Now you do have to be a little careful because this is very specific. PHP info has to be spelled perfectly, all one word. The open bracket and closing bracket, that's the, if you're on an English keyboard, that is Shift 9 and Shift 8. And then the semicolon all have to be perfect in your environment in order for this to work properly. Again, when I'm done, I hit Control X to exit out. Do I want to save this? Yes. Which file? Well, that file that I just told it to create, that's where I want it to save, so hit enter. And we are now done. Now I should be able to browse to this info.php and confirm my PHP is working. So I'm going to go up here to localhost / info.php. Go ahead and hit enter. And we can see that there is now a PHP information page. This gives me tons of information about everything in my environment. Tells me everything about my configuration, about my Apache configuration, my PHP configuration, everything I might possibly want to know as a systems administrator for my environment. And as you can see, it goes on for pages and pages and gives tons and tons of information. So this is great if you're troubleshooting your environment, if you're not sure if PHP is working, if you're not sure which modules are installed or enabled. It is, however, bad from a security standpoint. Even though it tells us PHP is working and it confirms that all the work we've gone through is good to go, it also tells a hacker a ton of things about our environment that could potentially be damaging to us. So now that we've got our environment working, the best practice for everything except for a test lab, which is going to be blown away as soon as I'm done writing this video, is to simply delete that file afterward. In order to delete that file, again, I have to write it as sudo, because it's a secured file. The command is rm for remove, and then we just point it to that file we just created and confirmed everything was working. And then hit the enter. That will go ahead and delete the PHP file. And now if we go back to our web browser, I'll see a 404 not found error message, which is good because now hackers can no longer get into our environment. All right, so there we go. That is the end of installation of the LAMP stack. We installed Linux, specifically Ubuntu 18.04. Different Ubuntu versions may install a little bit differently. We installed the Apache web server. We installed MySQL database, and then lastly, we installed PHP, and we confirmed every step along the way that everything was working.